Now just a little under 10 minutes away from launch. At this point, there will be a series of incremental milestones to get us to that point of liftoff. At just about the 10-minute mark, the gyros should be in flight readiness, and the recorders will have been activated. This is part of those pre-launch operations, which will be complete at just about the 7-minute mark. At 6 minutes before launch, the launch countdown operations will be switched to automatic, and the vehicle will be ready for launch. Of course, a series of milestones after that, including the nitrogen purge and the draining of propellant just before the tank pressurization. Everything looking still on track for that launch just 9 minutes from now. Just 8 minutes to launch at this point. Again, looking for that on-time launch at 7:10 a.m. Central Time, precisely 7:10 and 46 seconds. Confirmed from the visiting vehicle office here in Mission Control Houston that the launch countdown operations have been switched to automatic. Just about 7 minutes from launch, the International Space Station. Right now, about 260 statute miles right over the Red Sea, crossing over Saudi Arabia. Again, at about the time of launch, the space station is scheduled to be on just over southern Kazakhstan, essentially behind Progress at the time of launch, but will leapfrog over Progress as part of the rendezvous profile to meet that 2 orbits, or just over 3 hours until the rendezvous to the International Space Station's Pirs docking compartment. Just under 6 minutes from launch, the launch key, the physical key, has been inserted into the launch bunker. Transitions the launch sequence into automatic mode. 5 minutes to launch. That launch key again has been inserted a minute ago, putting the launch sequence into automatic mode. Space station now currently flying 260 statute miles over Iraq. Just 4 minutes from launch. The next milestone will be when the fuel lines and other elements of the rocket engines are purged with nitrogen to fireproof them by removing vapors of fuel and oxidizer. Two minutes 45 seconds to launch. At this time, the booster tank would be being pressurized for launch and optimize the flow of fuel, and helps add to structural support for the rocket. International Space Station, currently flying 260 statute miles over the Caspian Sea. One minute 30 seconds to launch. At this point, the ground propellant feed would now have been terminated. Space station currently flying over Turkmenistan, about to cross over Uzbekistan and then the southern border of Kazakhstan, the position of the ISS at the time of launch. 1 minute to go, the Soyuz will be switching to internal power. Soyuz booster on top is the Progress vehicle. There's that first umbilical tower retracting. Second umbilical tower. Ignition has been started. Engines throttling up. And liftoff. We have liftoff of the Progress. Progress 73 on its way in the fast lane to the International Space Station. Everything looking good so far. Those 4 strap-on boosters, providing the initial lift of the vehicle, will burn for 1 minute 58 seconds. Still getting some great views on this clear day in Baikonur. Everything looking good so far during this first stage ascent. Just about 30 more seconds of this stage. At this point, the vehicle is traveling well over 1,000 miles an hour. Confirmed booster separation. Now switching to animation, that core stage will burn for another 3 minutes 28 seconds. Good reports of the second stage so far. Three minutes, 30 seconds into the flight. Everything's still looking good. This stage will burn for a little more than 1 more minute. Third stage will ignite a little bit before the end of the core stage is burning. A hot fire technique that will happen at the lattice structure, right at that orange stripe in the middle of the rocket. Still looking good, about 30 more seconds of this core stage. Good second stage separation and third stage ignition. skirt has been jettisoned. Good reports from the third stage so far. Again, this stage burns for 4 minutes 2 seconds. Starting to get some views from that third stage. You can see this is actually from the view of the Progress, those solar arrays at the forward end of the screen. 5 minutes 50 seconds into launch, everything looking good so far. Six minutes into the flight, again, this third stage will burn until 8 minutes 45 seconds. Third stage will cut off and separate from the vehicle into an orbit. Seven minutes into the flight, everything's still looking good for this third stage, again burning until the 8 minutes 45 second mark into the flight. Seven minutes 45 seconds into the flight. Just about one more minute of this stage. You'll see that third engine cut off and the separation of that third stage from the Progress vehicle. A few more seconds, we'll see that third stage separate. And we have good third stage separation. Third stage shutdown and separation from the vehicle. And we have good confirmation of the solar array deployment, and the antennas have deployed as well. Progress successfully in orbit, catching up to the International Space Station just behind, which has leapfrogged it. Space Station 261 statute miles. Just at the border of northern Mongolia and southern Russia. About to cross over the western border of the northern part of China. A great ascent of Progress 73 lifting off on time. Everything about the ascent went perfectly. Progress in orbit right now. It'll just circle the Earth 2 times before it meets up with the International Space Station. We will be back on the air shortly. Again, that rendezvous happening in just a little over 3 hours. We'll go on the air a little bit before that. That rendezvous time, everything going according to the plans so far. We're looking at 10:35 a.m. Central Time for that rendezvous. Stay tuned for our coverage of the rendezvous and docking of Progress 73 to the Pirs docking compartment on the expedited 2-orbit fast-track lane to the International Space Station. We're going to take a short break until that time of rendezvous and let the flight controllers handle here from the balcony camera of Mission Control Moscow over in Koryov. Let them handle the flight of Progress, and the flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston watch over the International Space Station, soon to meet just a little over 3 hours from now. Until then, this is Mission Control Houston.
Hey, you're watching NASA TV, on the air and online every day, on this planet and beyond.